Hey, welcome back. It is a Money Monday on Liquid Lunch, and I'm making money. I hope you're making money because the markets are doing well. If you subscribe to my newsletter, the Monday Morning Quarterback, you know that the last entry point I saw on Bitcoin was at 8,000 in my portfolio. I'm not giving you any advice, but as we stand today, Bitcoin is peaking right up at 10,000, about a 25% gain, and I think if the coronavirus continues to cause fear, fright, and hysteria, Bitcoin could go a lot higher as people try to get money out of Asia. But as you know, last week on Friday, we were down in the Garden State. We were at the Showboat Resort, and we had a whopper of a show. We had so many guests that we wanted to bring that to you. And two great ones, Robert Turkavage and Brian Fitzherbert, both one a retired FBI agent and bank executive, Democratic candidate for Congress, the other chairman of the Atlantic County Young Republicans. And we had the left and the right on full display as they mixed it up in Atlantic City. Let's take a look. Welcome back. You know, all hell is breaking loose in the state of New Jersey. When this whole impeachment nightmare began, Nancy Pelosi said that it was needed to be compelling and nonpartisan for her to bring impeachment articles. And to me, it was neither compelling, and if it was bipartisan, it was the opposite way than she was hoping for, because one congressman from the Democrat side voted with the Republicans, and that's Jeff Van Drew right here in New Jersey's 2nd Congressional District. Two guys join me right now. Robert Turkavage, he's a retired FBI agent. He's a former security executive and Democratic candidate for Congress to take on Jeff Van Drew. And Brian Fitzherbert, he is the chairman of the Atlantic County Young Republicans, vice chairman of the Young Republican Foundation of New Jersey, and he was also one of the primary opponents for Jeff Van Drew in the Republican primary. So you guys are all mixed up in this stuff here, but
we're still friends.
I'm saying I'm a neighbor from New York, but I mean, we're all friends here, right? And we do this segment on our show every day that no one else on television does. We call it the Mix It Up. We have on a Democrat and a Republican. I throw out the topics of the day, McLaughlin style, and we let all voices be heard. And the one rule is thoughtful conversation. At the end, no matter what, we shake hands and we part friends. So feel free to interrupt each other, you know, work out your political chops and all that stuff. But first and foremost, I have been doing this investigative reporting on the Iowa caucus. I'm overwhelmingly confused how for years and years and years we've been counting the votes in the Iowa caucus like this, no problem. Now they bring in a piece of technology, this shadowy app that is brought to you by a whole bunch of former Hillary Clintonistas, and it takes them 5 days. We still don't have a vote count, and Bernie Sanders, it seems, won the vote, the most votes, but he doesn't get the most delegates. Doesn't this bode horribly for the Democratic side?
Well, you know, this whole matter with the breakdown in the computer system, I think on a going forward basis can be easily rectified. It's just have it just like many other primaries where you go in the voting booth, you close the curtain, you do your voting, and you walk out.
But on a going forward basis, right. I understand. But President Trump has been taken to the mat 2 different times on election interference, Russian collusion, abuse of power by Ukrainian collusion. Why is no one saying that there was election interference here when this app, let's not go forward, let's talk about now. This app was invented and created by a whole bunch of Hillary Clinton fans, and the app doesn't work. Bernie's in the lead, and Buttigieg wins. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make. I'm asking the Democrat here. You said let's look forward. We can fix it. What's the excuse now? Well, it doesn't take 5 days.
I don't look. I'm here in New Jersey. I'm not there in Iowa. I don't know the mechanics of how that system operated. But what I can tell you is there has been no evidence put forward at this point to suggest that there was anything but a computerized malfunction.
So, Brian, we just had Bob Patterson on a little while ago. He's the Republican candidate that's going against our friend Robert here. You were in the race. Number one, what made you drop out, and what do you think about this race with Van Drew?
So first and foremost, the president came in, and when Jeff Van Drew changed parties, the president endorsed him in the Oval Office, came and did a rally here in the district, and has chosen to support Jeff Van Drew in the Republican primary and his reelection. So following the president's lead and getting out made sense from a Republican Party and a unity standpoint. Now shifting to things like Iowa, you think about what the establishment, i.e. the Democratic establishment, may or may not want. I don't think they want Bernie Sanders as their nominee. As we've seen, there are some challenges in 2016 that he incurred with Hillary Clinton. But when you take it now here in 2020, where Biden was supposed to be that person coming in, looks like fourth, with Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg fighting for that spot, and then shifting to New Hampshire into next week in the debate tonight, this is going to be very interesting because I think there's a lot of challenges with electability and whether or not the establishment in particular wants Bernie Sanders to be that nominee.
Joe Biden's thrown his hat in the ring a couple of times to run for president. Each time, he's proven himself to have a glass jaw. He bowed right out of the race. They've almost been, down here in AC, you see a lot of boxing matches, right? And sometimes you see these undercard matches where they bring in what they call a tomato can. It's the guys coming in to take a beating. He knows they fly him in from Memphis or Idaho or something, and he's there to take a beating because they're trying to prop someone else up. I feel like Joe Biden's the tomato can in the race at this time. It looks like he's past his prime. He doesn't remember what state he's in sometimes. He's all confused. Has the establishment put too much of their hopes on Joe Biden?
No, I don't think so. I think Joe is he's most experienced candidate in the race by far. Granted, he is up there in the years, but I think he puts forth very practical, pragmatic solutions to many of the problems, and quite frankly, more realistic solutions to many of the current problems that are facing the country.
Like referring to New Hampshire as Vermont. That wasn't that practical of a solution. I'm saying, these are simple things.
What individual does not make a mistake? I mean, it's.
I feel like he's not on his game anymore. That's how. This is my own personal.
And I think on top of that, I don't think it's not that he may not just be on his game. He ran in '88. He ran in 2008. He's now running here in 2020, and he's never won a single caucus or primary in that sense, or any states for that matter. And I think the challenge is the Democratic establishment or the Democratic Party and their voters, they like to get excited. They like to fall in love with their candidates. And you look at the last two presidential candidates in terms of who was actually elected. You had Bill Clinton, you had Barack Obama. Two individuals that were electric and charismatic that got people excited. And I think that's why Pete Buttigieg is doing very well, and Bernie has his following for the same reason, even though Bernie and Biden are around the same age group. And I think there's the challenge right there with the party determining who they're going to support, on top of who they're going to support, who they think they can beat Donald Trump. And from my perspective, I don't think Donald Trump can be beat in 2020.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I want to shift gears a little bit here. We talked about Jeff Van Drew being the one Democrat to vote with the Republicans in the House, and Willard Romney was the one Republican to vote with the Democrats in the Senate. I feel like, if they don't expel him, he's almost expelled himself. You know what I mean? He's going to be a lonesome guy in the Republican part of the Senate. But what do you think about, I want to, from the Republican side, what do you think about Willard Mitt Romney's decision here to defect?
So I think it's very interesting the way things have transpired, and I don't mean to correct you, but there was actually two Democrats that voted against impeachment. There was a congressman from Minnesota that also came in with Jeff Van Drew.
Got it.
But with Mitt Romney, this is a guy who was the presidential nominee in 2012, and in my view, he betrayed a lot of Republican voters that put their faith in him to be their nominee, and he is now the sole Republican senator in the history of the United States who voted to impeach the president of his own party. And I think that Utah has a decision to make whether or not they want to have anything be aired in terms of their challenges with him representing them, because how do the Utah voters feel? Do they feel frustrated with his decision and his placating to get attention on him once again because he's not president?
I'm rolling this conspiracy theory here that I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but there's a congressman out in Utah who gave his endorsement to Mike Bloomberg. I think it's McAdams, I think is his name, right? Bloomberg opened an office in Utah for this guy to get his message out, supposedly, a few months ago. This congressman is in the same sect of the Mormon church as Mitt Romney. I have this conspiracy theory in my head that Mitt Romney's trying to demonstrate his bona fides, how much he hates Trump, to get on a unity ticket like McCain-Lieberman and be Bloomberg's VP. What do you think about that?
Well, let me go back to Romney.
Okay.
And I respect what Mitt Romney did because, and this is coming from my heart, not my lips, I believe that our president abused his power. I believe that our president violated the law. The president violated the impound control law. But disturbing to me, outside of Mitt Romney, every Republican, and they're smart Republican men, they know that the president abused his power. They know that the president broke the law, yet they remain silent and they push this under the rug. So I can't disagree with you gentlemen more. I believe in and respect Mitt Romney for what Mitt Romney did.
I'm going to give you the final word, my Republican friend over there.
Well, when it comes to what Mitt Romney decides to do, whether or not he's angling, I think he has ambition. I think he's looking to get something. It could be a unity ticket. It could be that he wants to run for president in 2024 when he thinks that that's no longer an option, because in his mind, maybe he thinks that the president doesn't win in 2020. And I don't think it can be more farther from the truth. I think President Donald Trump is going to win in 2020, and I think it's going to be, depending on who that candidate is from the Democrats and who they put up, unless Michael Bloomberg pulls a miracle and becomes the nominee, there isn't anyone that's going to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump in 2020.
All right, well, you heard it here. We're in Atlantic City. We're mixing it up Jersey style with Robert Turkavage and Brian Fitzherbert, Democrat, Republican. Thoughtful conversation was had, although we don't agree, guys. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming down and joining us today. You got to come back.
Thank you.
You got to stay right there. More Liquid Lunch is coming back at you right after this.